We want to press this suggestion of ours, Mr. Chairman.
And we think it needs further consideration.
So long as it comes up at the next meeting of this joint consultative committee.
All right. Now, the final item. There's a possibility that Hammond Transport Services may become a public company. Now, I've asked the workers' representatives to discuss it with the men and let us know any views.
I've protested about this before, Mr. Chairman, and I do so again. This is entirely a matter for management. Has nothing to do with the employees. I move that this item be struck from the agenda and the meeting closed.
Any comments before I rule on this?
Aye.
Well, let's have them.
Your men, Mr. Chairman, your drivers, your mechanics, your warehouse staff, they've got just as big a stake in this company as any shareholder. Some would say a damn sight bigger. You wouldn't like it if decisions were taken over your head without any chance of saying what you think, and nor do we.
We'll still be the same company. It doesn't affect the men one iota.
Brian, I'm not accepting your motion. I think the men should be kept informed, and I think the JCC is the right place to express their views. Now, you can call for a vote on it and challenge my ruling, if you want to.
Can't we just get on with the meeting?
Well, Brian?
Oh, what's the use?
Right. Bill.
I started work for your father, Mr. Chairman, when he had half a Nissan out for an office and 2 lorries being paid for on the hire purchase. Well, now you may be going to put shares on the market. And that's not just for fun, that's to raise more capital, which you'll plough back into the firm to make it bigger still, 2 or 3 times its present size, maybe more.
On a point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Brian?
Could we know which hat Mr. Riley is wearing? He's using information given to him in confidence.
That is not a point of
Perhaps
order.
his colleagues don't know that.
I told my colleagues I've been offered a seat on the board of directors, and I offered to stand down from this committee. Right?
Right. No, asked him to carry on pro tem.
No, all right, Bill. So, everyone knows where we stand.
The purpose behind this company expanding is to make bigger profits. And that means bigger dividends and capital gains for the shareholders.
That is an oversimplified political claptrap.
Expansion will involve heavy expenditure, Bill.
The shareholders are guaranteed nothing. When people risk their savings, nobody cares if they lose. But if there's a prospect they might make enough to beat inflation, everybody starts talking about capital gains.
No, come on, don't tell us about the widows and orphans. You'll be after money from men in the city.
No, hang on, Bill.
We're not asking for the moon, Mr. Chairman.
We know it won't all be plain sailing. We're not that stupid.
What the lads feel is this. By going public, you're after a bigger cake. All right, when the cake's bigger, not before, when it's bigger. Let's see some of it going to the men who've served this company, that's all. All.
Right. So now we know how the men feel.
I haven't finished yet, Mr. Chairman. It was felt that it might be helpful to management if we put forward a few areas that we'd like to look at in due course. Joe.
General pay structures. That goes without saying, but especially these long European runs, where a man can be away from home for a week at a time or more. Next, sick pay and welfare, much improved job security, and lastly, a proper pension scheme.
You'll find it all down there.
Mr. Chairman, the workers' representatives may expect a vote of thanks for being so helpful to the management. But I object to the spirit and meaning of the Joint Consultative Committee being flouted in this manner. Industrial negotiations are specifically ruled out of our discussion.
We're not trying to negotiate.
You're trying to table proposals through the back door.
Brian's right. These are matters for the union, not this committee.
All right. Just don't pretend to be too shocked and surprised when you do hear from the union. Through the front door.
I'm concluding this discussion. Let's move on. Any other business?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Could we ask the workers' representatives to study the terms of reference of this committee before we meet again?
The meeting's closed. Thank you all for attending. Bill, I'd like to see you in my office, if you don't mind.
Joint consultation is more like a pitched battle. Bill Riley was looking for trouble right from the off.
That's the man you've invited to join the board.
Well, you didn't help, Brian. You couldn't have antagonized them more short of proposing a lockout.
Put the responsibility where it belongs, Ted.
All right, Brian, but why did you have to be so aggressive?
Perhaps you got out of bed on the wrong side.
There's nothing wrong with me.
Well, you weren't very tactful, Brian.
To death of everybody talking about tact and conciliation. Well, what that means is give in. Meet all their demands.
Come on, calm down. We've heard Bill Riley being irritating so far, that's all. There's no need to lead a counter-revolution.
He'll be a Trojan horse. There are 2 sides as far as he's concerned, us and them, and we're them.
Let's get some tea.
Well, not for me. I want to do some shopping.
Well, haven't you got any work to do?
Yes, Ted, but I have to see about Jill's present. It's our anniversary next week.
Anniversary? Oh, wedding anniversary. Where do the years get to? I don't know.
We've survived.
David. What did you think of Bill's performance?
I think he was putting on an act.
Yeah, but for who?
Himself, mostly. Trying to convince himself that he's still the same man, that he's no different just because we've asked him to become a director of this company.
Cup of tea, Bill.
Oh, thanks.
Shut the door.
Right.
What do you think of Martin Farrell?
Well, not for me to say, is it?
Look, two men have been asked to join this board, yourself and Mr. Farrell. I want to know what each man thinks of the other.
Well, I've not run into his sort before. Might as well have come from another planet.
Do you think he knows what he's about?
Well, it was uncanny in a way how he spotted practical problems. You know, the kind of things that drivers moan about. Especially for a man who wouldn't know timesheets from ropes and sheets. And he sees things about people, too. Too much for comfort, maybe. Aye, he knows what he's doing, all right. Though whether anybody else knows what he's doing, that's maybe another matter.
Could you work with him?
Well, judging by today, there are some who wouldn't find me all that welcome.
And Bill, are union meetings all sweetness, reason and life?
Not as a rule, no.
Well, it's the same with any board of directors. They're not dummies, they have opinions. I presume that you could take a bit of rough treatment.
Whether I want to is the point.
Bill, you asked me for time to consider. Well, time's running out. Now, look. Go home early. Clear off. Talk to your wife. But come to a decision by next week. All right?
All right, Mr. Hammond.
Good. Oh, Bill. Look, I still want you on the board of directors, but the way you carried on today didn't help.
Well, I wasn't looking for a fight, Mr. Hammond. But I won't run away from one either.
Bill, there's one thing you've got to face up to fair and square. Now, with the best will in the world, you will be on the other side of the fence. You'll be concerned with the management of Hammond Transport. Well, the men are part of that responsibility, a big part, but not the whole of it.
Well, I'll say what I think, Mr. Hammond. On the board or off it.
Bill, you don't have to leave your conscience behind. But you don't have to put it on the boardroom table for everyone to admire, either.
Oh, please.
Now, I'll get it. You sit
I'm
still.
perfectly all right.
No, I'm not so sure. All that gardening. I think you're overdoing it. Hello? Oh, hello. Why? Oh, I'm not sure. Hold on. It's Bill, Mrs. Hammond. He says if I can hang on here for a while, he'll come and pick me up. Would that be all right?
Oh, of course. In fact, we'll wait till he gets here, then Mr. Riley can join us for tea.
Can I help you, miss?
Oh, good afternoon. I'm seeing Mr. Simon Baker. He's expecting you, Mrs. Hammond.
Oh, take the lift to the top floor, Mrs. Hammond. I'll phone Mr. Baker and tell him you're on your way out.
Thanks.
A cake, Mr. Riley.
Oh, thanks.
Your wife made them.
I thought they looked familiar.
It's just saying I always give him the same old thing.
Well, you're looking well, Mrs. Hammond. How do you feel?
Very well indeed, thank you, Mr. Riley. As fit as I ever was. Well, for the most part. Your wife sees that I don't overdo it.
Well, you'll have to take care of yourself from now on. Have to come to terms with that.
I must say, there are compensations. I never feel lonely now, for one thing. Your wife keeps me company in the day. My family come to see me a great deal more than they used to. In fact, they seem to come in rotation, almost as if they'd arranged it.
Oh, you'll be in their thoughts, that's all, Mrs. Hammond.
It'd be nice to think so, Mr. Riley. I'm glad you came today. I wanted to talk to you about becoming a director of the company, whether you decided yet.
Oh, I've been giving it some thought, Mrs. Hammond.
I very much hope that you'll accept, Mr. Riley. I want you to know that.
Well, that's very kind of you.
I know that my late husband would have approved. My sons will be very disappointed if you refuse.
Well, maybe not all of them.
What makes you say that?
Well, I don't always see eye to eye with Mr. Bryan, I'm afraid.
Oh, we all have our differences of opinion from time to time. That doesn't mean anything. I'm sure Bryan respects you for speaking your mind.
The man's an idiot. He's truculent and ill-mannered. He doesn't belong on a board of directors. Stirring up trouble is all he's good for.
That's just not true.
You weren't there this afternoon.
Mr. Farrell approved the appointment.
Martin doesn't know him. Now, let's be honest, Ted. You want Riley on the board to keep an even number of directors so you'll retain your casting vote.
And didn't you want Farrell on the board so that I'd lose my casting vote?
You think Riley will stick up his hand and support you whenever you want him to, but you're taking in a dangerous man, Ted, merely to preserve personal power. I mean, suppose he gets his teeth into some stupid idea and you can't control him. You're calmly handing him a vote on the board, a vote that he could use one day to cause irreparable damage to this company.
Rubbish. I just don't know what you've got against Phil Riley.
I would have thought I'd made that plain enough. I beg you, Ted, let's reconsider before it's too late.
You want to put it up to the board again?
Well, now we've all had time to consider it, yes.
There's a personality clash between you and Bill Riley. All right, it's a pity. This sometimes happens for no good reason. You're not being dispassionate about Bill. I'm sure that he'll work for the good of the company. We might even find one day that you're both on the same side.
God forbid.
Well, do you want the appointment reconsidered at the next board meeting?
Oh, why waste the board's time? If you two agree, I'm outvoted before we start. Oh, I shan't be able to see Mother this evening. I'm having dinner with Martin Farrell.
Well, Brian, it's your turn. I'm going to Dover tonight. I told you.
Well, it was a last-minute arrangement, and it's important.
Yes, but can't you... Well, what the devil's the matter with him lately?
Nicholas? Oh, hello, darling. No. Probably, yes, a false alarm. But it doesn't alter what we were saying. We'll have to decide, yes, one way or the other. Yes, all right, we'll meet and we'll talk it all out. Yes, I'll see you then. Goodbye, darling. Hello? Oh, hello. Why? Oh, well, yes, I suppose so. He's just come back now. Yes, all right. Goodbye. There's some mail for you on your desk.
I'll see to it later. I'm in a hurry. I've got to change. I'm going out tonight.
Yes, I know. So am I.
Oh, seeing Janet again?
No, I'm seeing your mother. Edward just rang.
Oh. Well, that saves me asking you.
Brian, is something wrong?
Yes, and very wrong.
What?
The whole damn setup! Edward's behaving like an utter fool.
Aren't you staying overnight in Dover?
No, flying visit. I shall be back late. I can't leave Mother alone all night.
No. They're new, aren't they?
Oh, yes.
You seem to be branching out in all directions.
Yes, I've suddenly got tired of the idea of behaving like a man who has to watch every penny. You know, ready-made suits, cheap cars, trying to make do.
Well, that seemed to be a part of you, Edward. Rather a nice part, too.
Well, we all want change, including you, Jenny. It wasn't my idea to turn Hammond into a public company. But you all seem to be doing your best to make it happen. All right. Well, if I'm going to be chairman of a public company, I'm going to play the part. See you in the morning.
Edward, don't change too much.
You want some tea?
Jill, hello. I didn't think you'd be home yet.
Oh, well, it's all different, as usual. You know, honestly, I could organise things better myself. What are you doing?
Oh, nothing. I thought there was a chair and a cushion.
Ooh, let's have a look.
Say hello first.
Hello.
Hello. Well, what happened?
Well, got to the studio at 11 o'clock, as did everyone else, except the director. He was ill, and no one had bothered to let us know.
What did you do? Come straight home?
Yes.
Oh, so you've been here all afternoon, then?
Well, I just thought I'd catch up on one or two things, you know.
You should have phoned me.
Oh,
I'd have come home early.
let's have a look.
What?
Cushion.
Oh?
Well, I can't see any tear.
No. Well, perhaps I was wrong. Must have been the light.
Mr. Edward wants me to let him know by next week.
Well, to be fair, he's given you plenty of time.
What do you think?
Oh, it's up to you.
You're not giving me much help.
Oh, you wouldn't thank me if I did.
Oh, and I know a damn sight more about the transport business than them on that board. I reckon half of it's common sense anyhow. And you don't need a degree or a posh accent for that. I reckon I'd pull my weight.
Oh, of course you would.
On the other hand, I've driven lorries all my working life. I can go into any transport caff up and down the land and find a maid. I reckon the lads at the depot like me. Wouldn't want to lose all that.
Oh, there's no reason why you should.
Well, it's a question of where you belong.
Oh, God bless the squire and all his relations. And keep us in our proper stations. I never knew you felt like that.
Oh, come off it, I don't, and you know it.
Well, then. Oh, look, turn it down if you want to, but not because you're afraid of it.
I'm not afraid of it. And since you mentioned relations, Brian Hammond can't stand the sight of me for some reason. I'd have a rough ride from him, all right.
Well, perhaps he'll find himself on the receiving end, too.
Yeah, I'd lose him when it comes to what keeps the wheels turning. But he's an accountant. And he'd blind me with science with his figures and his balance sheets and the like. Still, I suppose the main thing is we could get out of this house. I'd be able to buy you somewhere you really like.
We're staying put.
With what?
Director or not, we're staying under this roof. I'm putting my foot down about that.
Oh, God almighty, woman.
Oh, now, there's no need to blaspheme.
The way you went on about this place, how you couldn't stand the sight of it. How if you didn't get out of here, you'd go out of your mind. You made my life a misery, did you know that?
Well, that were then.
So all that fuss and bother was for nothing.
No, I meant every word of it at the time.
And now I've been offered this job as traffic manager with more money so I can give you what you want.
Oh, listen, Bill, what you can or can't give me doesn't come into it. I mean, what good's a new home to me if you're not happy? You can be a director, you can turn it down. I won't argue either way, but it's got to be your decision, made in your own best interests, and not because it's a way to buy me a house. So we're staying put, come what may, and that's final.
You can turn the television on if you like, Anne.
Oh, no, thank you. Unless there's something you want to see.
No, I don't think so. Anne, were you asked to come over? Is there some sort of an arrangement that I'm never to be left alone?
Good heavens, no. I thought I'd like to come and see you and have a chat.
I'm always glad to see my family, but if it's a duty call, I'd rather not trouble anyone. You might tell the others that.
Now, you're quite wrong there. If they come and see you, it's because they want to. I suppose this is my fault, isn't it? I haven't been exactly chatty, have I?
Not noticeably, no.
Do you ever wish that your husband had told you about Jennifer Kingsley?
What a very abrupt question.
Yes, it was. I'm sorry. Never mind.
Are you implying that Brian may be seeing someone else?
Oh, no, not at all. I was just curious, that's all. I shouldn't have asked.
Well, now that you have asked, yes, I would much rather he'd have told me.
Why?
He had another life of which I was no part, but I was never given the opportunity to influence things in any way, or to change our way of life if I thought it best. I would have preferred to have had that option.
That makes sense.
I loved my husband very much. He may have thought he was protecting me, but in fact I was deprived of my right to look the truth in the face.
I just wondered how you felt about it, that's all. Thank you for telling me.
Well, I'm glad it's not through anything Brian was doing.
No, really. It was just an idle question. I don't know why it came into my mind.
Whatever your own mistakes, you always hope that your children will be happily married, that there'll be no dishonesty, deceit in their lives.
Oh, there is a good programme on, after all. Do you mind if I switch the television off?
No, Anne, of course not.
Bill?
Ken Roberts.
Have you checked it?
There's no doubt about it. He exceeded the permitted driving hours.
Well, I suppose he were 10 or 20 miles from home, so he took a chance.
Well, if the police had caught him, they would have checked his log and prosecuted.
His wife's expecting. He doesn't like being away overnight.
Well, that's no excuse. He could have parked his lorry and caught a train home.
I'll warn him not to do it again.
Well, you better make sure he's put on short-haul work for a while. Then he won't be tempted.
OK, Jack, see you.
Morning.
Morning, Miss Kingsley. Mr. Riley?
Morning, Mr. Farrell. Do you need me?
Not today, Mr. Riley, thank you. I think I'm a little early.
The others are ready. We can go on up. Do you need to visit Dover again?
No, you showed me everything I needed to see. Thank you for making such a pleasant trip.
It's a change to get out of London now and again. I suppose you do a great deal of travelling.
Quite a bit, yes.
Ralph said you were recently in Vienna.
Yes, my bank was concerned with financing a trade deal there. Do you know Austria?
Not really. A few days in Kitzbühel once, that's all.
My wife and I went skiing there several times.
I was there during the summer. Was your wife fond of skiing?
Yes, she adored it. Well, we both did. We used to try and get away for a week or two every winter if we could. So, in the light of your investigation into our company, Mr. Farrell, you feel that we can apply for a stock exchange quotation?
Well, that's up to your board of directors to decide.
That decision's already been taken. We go public unless your report proves to be negative, and it isn't.
No.
In our case, are you for it or against it?
Well, I've stated my reservation.
Which are of a technical nature. We have a good profits forecast, ample borrowing facilities.
His profit forecasts aren't quite the same thing as profits safely under the belt. And some shareholders might prefer cash reserves to expectations. However, that needn't stop you, I agree.
You seem to be rather doubtful, just the same.
Well, you mustn't confuse professional caution with pessimism, Miss Kingsley. Becoming a public company has many attractions for a firm in your position. A successful issue of your shares would be highly beneficial, a shot of adrenaline. But if for some reason the launch were not successful, if large numbers of shares were left with the underwriters, well, then you could find yourselves in a very difficult position.
But you'll make sure that the shares are pitched at the right price. There's no reason why the launching shouldn't be totally successful.
Well, given the support of the big investors, the institutions such as pension funds, yes, that's true.
Well, I imagine you'll be onto them from the beginning.
Well, I've had a word off the record with one or two of the more important people already who might be interested.
Then there's nothing to stop us.
I just want to make it clear that there are many hurdles to be crossed and a number of rather delicate negotiations to be carried out. The more I listen to all this, the more I realize it's going to be much more complex than I thought at first.
Yes, me too.
I'd be much happier if Mr. Farrell would agree to join the board at once.
Here.
Yes, we obviously need his advice and guidance on a continuing basis.
Mr. Farrell hasn't accepted the invitation yet. His response was conditional.
Well, as I understand it, Mr. Hammond, the invitation was conditional upon your being satisfied with the structure of this board.
Mr. Farrell, do you agree to finalize matters next week?
Oh, really? Are we come to this? Waiting to see if Riley will condescend to sit here and make trouble?
Is that all right with you, Mr. Farrell?
Perfectly.
Ted, you're deliberately perverting the known wishes of this board.
Could I suggest that we now go through my written report in more detail?
Yes. Good idea, Mr. Farrell.
Morning.
Morning.
Where's the paper?
Over there.
Thanks.
Your leg's all right.
Fine.
It's a lovely day.
Hmm.
Well, don't you think so?
I don't know. I haven't looked.
Sun's shining, and it's quite warm.
Is it?
Just the day for doing something special.
I got a board meeting.
Well, that's not special. There's some mail.
More bills, I suppose.
I don't think so. You have a look.
In a minute. Oh, something for you.
Yes, it's just a circular.
Oh, could be a cheque from your agent.
No, my agent uses white envelopes, and he's got his name on the front.
It could be that catalogue you sent for. What is it?
You know very well what it is.
Oh, I thought you'd forgotten. I went right through the mail for my card.
I used a business envelope and typed the address at the office.
Oh, you pig.
Happy anniversary, darling.
Happy anniversary to you, darling.
Yes. I found this lying around.
What?
I think it must be for you.
Now, where did you hide it?
Where you couldn't find it. I know what you are.
Oh, David. Ooh. Oh, darling, it's beautiful.
Do you like it?
Well, of course I like it.
It's mid-Victorian. The stones aren't real, I'm afraid.
It's lovely, darling. Thank you. Come on now, you open your letters.
I knew what this was at first glance. Sprawling handwriting sticks out a mile.
It's a bit sloppy, I'm afraid.
Oh, so was mine.
Still, I meant it.
So did I.
Anyway, they're either sloppy or filthy, and a filthy card didn't seem quite right somehow. Hey, these eggs are going to be hard. Shall I do some more?
No, don't bother.
You sure?
Yes. I mean, who cares whether the eggs are hard or soft when you have your present to look at?
Could you get home early today?
Yes, I expect so. Why?
So that you can take me out to dinner.
Well, I was going to do that anyway.
Good. Hope those are all right. I must put my bracelet on.
Yes, well, I put mine on too.
What?
Should it be something to wear?
Should what? Isn't it lovely?
Cufflinks? Watch strap? Tie? Dozen handkerchiefs? My present.
What present?
Haven't I got one?
You've got me.
Oh, I know I've got you. But what about my loving gift?
Who from?
You've hidden it, haven't you? Give me a clue.
I haven't hidden anything.
No present?
Well, you've had a nice card.
I'll frame it and hang it in the bathroom.
That'd look nice. And I'll meet you after the board meeting and show you.
I have got a present, haven't I?
Of course you have.
It's a velvet smoking jacket, and it's being altered.
You'll have to wait and see.
You little... Pretending you hadn't bothered.
Well, serves you right for making out you've forgotten.
Gonna be late for work.
I'm late now.
Well, as long as you know what the time is.
Gwen, the watch is going, and I'm quite capable of looking at it for myself.
All right. Well, I can't sit around all morning if you can. It's time I was leaving for Mrs. Hammond's.
Oh, there's no hurry. I can drop you off.
Oh, man of leisure, are we all of a sudden?
Well, I've got this appointment with Mr. Edward at 9 o'clock.
Oh, to give him his answer.
One way or the other.
Which is it?
What bothers me is the fact that he wants me on the board so badly.
Oh, I know you shouts to him now and then, Bill, but, well, I think he's got a lot of time for you, really.
Oh, there's more to it than that. He reckons he's in for a real battle one of these days. And when that time comes, he wants me there on his side.
Well, he's shown a lot of faith in you, Bill. I think you owe him something for that.
I don't like being in anyone's debt. I never have.
You really are the most obstinate, aggravating
I don't want to
man.
let him down, Gwen.
Let him down? I've never known you take so long to make up your mind about anything.
I may be deciding more than we think.
What?
I said I may be deciding more than we think.
Well, can't put it off any longer. It's got to be yes or no.
My first pleasant duty is to extend a warm welcome to the new members of this board, Mr. Farrell and Mr. Riley.
I'll second that. Welcome aboard.
We're all glad you decided to accept, Martin. And you, Bill.
Thank you. And, of course, we can now officially confirm Mr. Riley's new position as traffic manager.
Yes, I'm sure we all look forward to having the benefit of Martin's excellent advice.
Well, speaking for myself, Mr. Chairman, I very much look forward to the months ahead. They should prove quite interesting. And if we face any difficulties, I'm sure that we'll all work together in complete harmony.
I hope so, too.
Would Mr. Riley like to say anything?
Not until I have something to say.
I'm sure that'll be worth waiting for.
I'd like to get rid of some routine business before we get on to the main purpose of the meeting, if that's all right with you, Mr. Farrell.
Oh, Martin, please. Yes, of course.
Brian, I believe you want to deal with the subject of bad debts.
Yes, I think we should try to rationalize the position before Martin brings in his accountants to check our true balance sheet worth prior to applying for a quote. Now, we've carried some of these for some time, and now, with some reluctance, I feel we should place them in the hand of a collection agency. Alternatively, of course, we could just write them off. But if we could get a substantial sum in, it would put a better gloss on our figures for the current year, and, as Martin has pointed out, Any improvement would show a better profits growth curve when it comes to issuing our prospectus.
Yes. It was as well you didn't come round, darling. Brian says he's got a board meeting, but he'll be home early. I don't know. Oh, well, I'll have to see. I'll see you, of course, tomorrow in any case. Oh, well, I was going to have my hair done. Yes, all right. But I'll meet you for lunch. All right, darling. Yes, I'll see you then. Goodbye.
Finally, and I promise you this is my last point, Mr. Chairman. I seem to have been talking most of the time.
Oh, don't apologise, Mr. Farrell. That's what we're all here for this afternoon, to listen to.
And learn.
Up to now, my discussions with my principal and various associates have been informal. I would suggest that we now take the first concrete step and arrange a formal meeting.
Where?
It'll be a lunch in the city, probably.
Just yourself, you mean?
No, a small team. Yourself, of course, Mr. Chairman. And I'd suggest Brian as well.
Right. Can we leave you to arrange that?
Yes, of course. Good. And that concludes my extremely lengthy analysis of the situation.
Very lucid, if I may say so. I think that all of us, without exception, now have a very clear grasp of the technicalities involved in going public.
Well, I certainly know more than I did. Well, are there any more questions on Mr. Farrell's report and suggestions?
Well, I think we voiced our queries as we went along.
Yeah, I think we did.
Mr. Riley hasn't said anything all afternoon, as I recall. Could we have the benefit of his opinion?
Oh, I'd sooner listen to kick off with, Mr. Chairman, and maybe learn.
I know you'll speak up when you're ready, Bill. Well, I've got a meeting soon. I don't want to take any other business unless it's really urgent. No? No? Right. I now declare this meeting closed.
I didn't suggest that you two attend the lunch, but only because I thought it best not to overload it.
No, I quite understood.
I'm eating too many business lunches as it is.
I expect fairly time,
Brian,
but I'll ring you for lunch.
would you let me have a private word with Harold Barnes first?
He owes us a great deal of money,
Yes,
Dave.
I know, but I might be able to bring some personal pressure to bear.
Yes, if Dave could get it out of him without any trouble, it would help.
All right. But don't let him put you off. I know his son is a friend of yours, but he's a bit of a con man just the same.
Now, what are we... Where's Bill gone to?
I don't know. He was here just now.
Gone without a word. Typical. You going out tonight?
Oh, no. Why?
I just wondered this one.
We'll have supper at 8, shall we?
Oh, I had a very heavy lunch, a snack for me.
Now or later?
Later. Whenever.
Do you have much to do? Work.
Oh, Martin Farrell's arranging a luncheon to meet one of his associates. I'd like to prepare for it.
Do you have to do it now?
Not right this minute. No, why?
I'd like to talk to you.
Yes?
Not like that, Brian. Not just 2 minutes before you go back to work. This is important.
Oh. So you'd like me to sit comfortably?
Yes.
Is it about the children?
No. Well, yes. It does affect them.
Ah, now I know they seem reasonably happy now.
I'd
at boarding
rather
school.
not
No,
discuss
let me
that
finish,
at
please.
all.
I've been giving this a great deal of thought. It would mean a radical change in the way we live now, but that might not be a bad thing. Now, suppose, Anne, we looked for somewhere bigger. In the country, perhaps, near your parents, if you like. It would mean a lot of additional travelling time for me, but will other people manage?
Your travelling time is the last thing I want to talk about.
Yes, it's not very important, I agree. But a house in the country, Anne, would get us away from here. Now, for years now, you've wanted to move, and, well, now I'd like to move as well.
Where we live isn't important anymore.
But I think it could be. I mean, a place with plenty of room and some land. You could have a horse. You love riding. I should soon be in a position to afford all that, but the most important thing would be we could take the children away from boarding school and have them at home again. But there'd be space and room to breathe. I don't want you to be tied down. We'd have an au pair girl to live in, but we'd all be together again. A family. Well, what do you think?
I wish I could say that it was a good idea,
Well,
but
don't
I
say anything
can't...
until you've had time to think it over. Let's just leave it for a while, and we'll both consider what's best for both of us and the children. All of us. All right?
No, Brian, I'm sorry. It's not all
Just
right.
give the idea a chance, Anne. That's all
I can't do that. It's too late.
I'm sorry.
So am I.
You wanted to talk to me.
Brian, please, try to bear with me. This isn't very easy to say. I was 18 when we were married. I thought I was grown up, but I wasn't. That's a long time ago now. I'm a very different person now to the young girl I was then.
Oh, am I a different person?
Yes, I think you are. You're more thrusting, more ambitious.
You wanted that.
But people want different things at different times.
Well, I just want to know where I am.
You value consistency far too highly, Brian.
Yes, perhaps I do.
The way my solid middle-class parents brought me up, a girl took it for granted that she'd meet the right man, marry, be a mother, have children, keep house, keep her looks. Oh, yes. That was very important. She had to please her husband. In short, be a good-looking housekeeper. Well, this went on in a vague sort of fashion for a number of years. While the children grew up, everybody grew older, until eventually she became an elegant, good-looking grandmother. I bought all that unspoken indoctrination, and I married the first mature man I liked who came along. You. Perhaps it would be better if I'd have played the field for a while, until I was about 25, but that's being wise after the event. And besides, one was supposed to be a virgin.
You smoke too much.
I know. You like order, stability, security. You prefer to know where you are. You prefer routine. I don't.
Are you saying that you'd like to get a job?
No.
There's nothing to stop you. I mean, if you want to try to find something that would satisfy you, we can employ someone to look after the children in the school holiday.
I'm not saying that. I'm not that sort of person. I am not a career woman. I'm attractive to men. I know that, and I enjoy it. Over the years, there have been a number of men who've wanted me.
And that's important to you?
Oh, the men weren't, but the fact that they admired me was. But now, something's happened. I've met someone. I'm in love with him. Whether you believe me or not, I didn't want this to happen, but it has. And there is nothing I can do about it. Well?
Well, what?
Aren't you going to say anything?
No.
Don't you want to know who it is?
I do already, Nicholas Fox.
We wondered.
Oh, yes. I spoke to him about it one day.
Yeah, he told me about it. But we weren't sure. He said you were very ambiguous.
Yes, I was trying to avoid a scene while obliquely asking him, both of you, to think again.
How did you find out?
When you were very upset. Before you took that overdose, you became careless. You sent him a telegram in Brussels. You used this phone.
The phone bill.
Yes, I checked. I didn't remember sending any telegram. The message was, I need you. Signed, Anne.
That was very careless. I'd forgotten that telegram charges were itemized.
And you got a parking ticket, which you insisted on paying for yourself. You said you were at Janet's, but your car had been parked where Nicholas Fox lives.
How did you know that?
The counter for.
But I threw that away. Don't tell me you went through the dustbin.
Another night you were supposed to be at Janet's. I drove to Nicholas Fox's house. Your car was parked outside.
So you've known all about it?
For a while, yes.
And you've let me go through all that rigmarole, trying to explain things to you, trying to tell you gently, when you've known all about it. My God, you've had a marvelous time, haven't you? Checking telegrams, ferreting through dustbins, following me around like a grubby little private detective. Did it give you a nasty thrill knowing what it was doing?
No.
And why the hell didn't you have the guts to tell me that you knew instead of pretending that everything was
normal?
normal?
When it comes to pretending, Anne, I have a great deal to learn from you. As for why I didn't say anything, I wanted to know how long you'd go on lying and cheating and writing those sickening letters of yours to the children signed, Love, Mummy.
Here?
Yes.
Not a clue. Tell me.
Guess. It's very near you.
A flower pot for the patio.
No. Idiot. Look up. Come on. Come on. Now then. Right up there.
Pigeon.
No.
Pair of doves.
No.
Lovebirds.
Not animal. Mineral. Or vegetable and mineral.
I give up.
Oh. Look. Right above our car. Right at the top. Think of a key.
It's not somewhere to live.
Penthouse. It's beautiful, David. You'll love it. The present owner's Mr. Baker. He's expecting us. Anyway, he's moving out next week because I told him we wanted vacant possession as soon as possible.
And Jill, you haven't bought it.
Sign the contract, everything. It's my anniversary present to you, darling.
How much?
Well, that's not important.
The places round here cost the earth. How much? 50,000? 70,000?
Darling, Daddy left me all that money. I don't need it. Isn't it much better to put it into somewhere nice for us to live? I bought it in your name. It's yours.
We have been through all this before. I don't want to be your kept man.
But you're not. David! David!
And what do you expect me to say? Thank you, darling, for my lovely present, which is worth a fortune. But for God's sake, Jill, will you stop trying to buy me? I don't want to be bought.
But what really got my goat was the way Brian Allen kept making snide little remarks about me all the time.
What on earth does he want to do that for?
Oh, I don't know. I've not had a lot to do with him in the past, I'll admit. But it's always seemed all right to me, you know. I mean, quite a nice sort of fella.
Doesn't sound a very nice sort of fella to me.
I mean, I know I didn't say anything. It was like trying to understand a foreign language all the afternoon. By the time I'd worked out what a profits growth curve was, they were talking about something else. I didn't like to show myself up by asking a lot of daft questions.
Gee, perhaps you should have done.
Well, it's not my way. I thought, no, I'll sit in on a meeting or two till I can understand the jargon, and then I can open my mouth without making a fool of myself.
Well, were the others all right?
During the meeting, yes. But afterwards, nobody said a word to me.
Oh.
I hung about for a bit, expecting someone to say, how's the wife, or what do you make of it, or anything. But no, they They just ignored me, a lot of them. So I pushed off.
Perhaps they were busy. They just didn't think.
I feel like packing it all in, I can tell you.
Oh, no, you'll do no such thing. No, you're too touchy for your own good. You always have been. Oh, you just see it through. Never mind about the Brian Hammonds of this world. Perhaps he's not so clever as he thinks he is.
Well, what about the children?
I haven't thought that far ahead.
Are you going to tell them about your great love affair, too?
I'll talk to them as soon as I've decided what I'm going to tell them.
Oh, I see. So for the moment, we'll just leave it that you've told me.
It had got to the point where I had to. It was only fair.
I don't think you know much about being fair, Anne. You do know that Nicholas Fox has been married before.
He's told me all about himself. I know that he even sees his ex-wife.
Well, which one? There are two, I believe.
His second. He married the first when he was still a student, and they split up 6 months later, as perhaps we should have done.
So is it your intention to become Mrs. Fox the Third?
Brian, all I know is that insofar as I am capable of loving anybody, I love Nicholas.
And is he in the same happy position?
We're two of a kind. We'll have to get through as best we can.
I tried, Anne, I really did. I knew what you were going to say tonight. I tried to head you off.
Yes, with offers of a new home in the country, a fresh start.
At least I offered.
A horse of my own, even. I don't want a horse, Brian. Nor do I want to be put out to work, thank you very much. For the first time in my life, I know what it is to really love someone.
You don't love anyone but yourself. You use one word over and over again. I. I this, I that. I feel so and so. I want such and such. Your whole world begins and ends with yourself. You're shallow, you're superficial and utterly self-centered. Nothing matters to you but self, self, self.
My God, do you think you're such a paragon? You are a predictable bore, Brian. You don't want a wife. You want a second mother. Somebody to cook and clean for you and tuck you in and say, there, whenever you're not feeling very well. Where do you think you're going?
Out!
Conventional to the last! I'd have thought even you could do better than that, Brian.
I kept my eyes closed, Anne, because I didn't want to see. For a long time, I didn't know about Nicholas Fox because I didn't want to know. But now that I've finally been forced to face the unpleasant fact that my wife is a selfish whore, I'd rather try to come to terms with that on my own.